Thank you for Patreon now for donating to the Patreon.
Hey guys, it's Vandy. Back in another Card Fight Vanguard profile. So if you enjoyed, don't like, comment, subscribe, and let's start, shall we? This time we're covering Stoicheia, Lianorn deck profile. So this is set 5, by the way. Basically with the trial deck, the expansion cards, and just everything up to set 5. Now, my thing about Lianorn is this. I think I've taken a different, from what I've understood from the few builds I've seen, I think I took a slightly different build than everyone else's, and something I'm going to say during this deck profile is going to get a lot of angry comments. I can already see it coming, but just for the record, this is from my experience, and all of those angry comments are unwarranted because this is just how I've played the deck, and I have no reason to change how I play because it literally works. So let's go ahead and get this started, shall we? First up, we have our starter in Announcing Wind of Spring. Corfi, grade 0 boost, 5k shield, 6k base, auto when she's ruled upon. If you win second, draw a card. Now, I was not a fan of Lianorn when I first actually saw her, not skill-wise, just art-wise, and I was like, it's a Stoicheia deck, and I'm not really a fan of Stoicheia decks outside of Zorga, and okay, Magnolia, I'll admit, but I was like, Lianorn's gonna join Flagberg in the decks I don't like. Nope, Lianorn actually kind of took in, and she was actually pretty fun, and I like her. So Corfi, I like the art of. I think she's really cute. I like the I don't know why every time I look at this I see like a different thing every time, and I like the flowers, I like the flag, I just like the smile all around. I like her a lot, so she's our starter. Then we have our Overtrigger, Source Dragon Deity of Blessings, Bless Favor, grade 0 boost, 50 shield, 5k power. Overtrigger, you may only run one Overtrigger in your deck. Reveal it as a trigger, remove that card, draw a card, choose one of your units, it gets plus 1 million for the turn, and if you reveal it during a draft tech activation effect, which is additional effect, draw a card, choose one of your units, it gets a crit, all your front row gets plus 10, and if your damage on the same number of cards as your opponent or more, you heal a damage. So, and everything bagel, as we all know, if you damage check it, you're getting 1 million. If you don't check it, well, if you just check it normally, you draw a card, you get a crit, you get plus 10k power to front row, and then you're getting that heal. Now, here's my thing with Bless Favor. Outside of Keter, it's been my least likely to see Overtrigger. What I mean by that is it is my favorite Overtrigger, one of my favorite Overtriggers, but I see it the least. Except when I started playing this deck, I started seeing it every game, whether it was via drive check, damage check, or hand. Normally, I only see it in my damage checks. Somehow, this deck has unbroken my curse with this thing. So I'm not so sure what happened, but whatever it is, God, don't stop it. Best flavor always around really good. The turn you check this, you're probably winning the game, depending on what grade you're on. If you're on grade 3, you're probably winning, unless they're at 0 damage. So yeah, Bless Favor is just a good Overtrigger, and it's fun using. You can use Albari, because Albari makes columns big as fuck, but Bless Favor, in my opinion, is just better, because I like Bless Favor. Also because the Stoicheia one, and you might as well run the Stoicheia one in a Stoicheia deck. And we have our other trigger lamps. 3 copies of the front trigger, Frenzy Harris, just plus 10 to the front row, why not? So grade 0 boost, 15k shield, 4k power, front trigger continues guard circle. If your vanguard's a grade 3 or greater, you get plus 5k shield. Cool. Standard front with 20k shield, nothing too special about it. Then we have our 4 draw triggers in Serene Maiden Lena, grade 0 boost, 5k shield, 4k base. Draw trigger continues guard circle. If your opponent's vanguard's a grade 3 or greater, gets plus 5k shield. So the draw helps because this deck you don't run PGs in. So having the draw to increase your hand to call rear guards, so you can boost with Lianorn and do a bunch of shenanigans and power combos, while also having the little 5k shield to make up for the missing PG is kind of important. So 4 draws. Then we run 4 crits in Aspiring Maiden Alana, grade 0 boost, 15k shield, 4k power, critical trigger, auto rear. At the end of battle, she boosted, put her to solo, choose one of your units, it gets plus 2 for the turn. Yeah, this is one of the skills I actually remember to use, because this is a deck that definitely only needs soul. The weird thing is, even though I know to use her when she's in my hand, she's still objectively the last thing I will call. For many of reasons, and I will get to that in a second. So, 4 of Elena, she's good. On the few occasions I do call her for that early game rush, she's useful, but otherwise she kind of just stays in my hand and acts as guard fodder, so 4 crits. Then we have 4 heals of LEG Pixie, just a 4 normal heal. Like, the other heals, in my opinion, are way too situational. Like, even if some of them are more often because maybe the Vanguard got a second attack, or maybe the other unit has an extra crit on it, I don't like using those cards. Those just things feel way too situational, and the minus 5k shield does not help at all, especially in this deck where guarding early will probably win you the game. So 4 of LG Pixie. And then move on to our grade 1s. First up, we have 3 copies of Pure Knight Theodore, grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 6k base. Auto, when it's discarded from your hand during your right phase, you may call it to a rearguard circle. So this is actually really useful, especially in the games where you're going to call Elena early, because that allows you to attack with an extra column. Now, for those of you who think Theodore is way too situational for the right phase, I can definitely see that, because I didn't want to run him in the first place, but he's actually been doing really good work. Like, he's been showing up whenever I need him to, and he helps get out that early game rush when I don't want to commit too much hand, because maybe I'm afraid my opponent will retire my rear guards or imprison them. So Theodore's actually been really good as just fodder in general, whether it's for ride deck fodder, just generic discard fodder, or just straight up calling fodder because I'm afraid of my opponent destroying all my important units. Either way, Theodore's really good. I like him for that alone. 3 remember, it's not always the skill that makes the card, it's how you use the card that makes it better. Now this thing. This is the card that I'm gonna get so many hate comments on, or like calling me stupid, and I greatly agree with you on that. But based off of what I've played with, this is the most useless grade 1 in this deck. Yes, the thing that is, I think every other Stoicheia player can agree, this is probably one of the best cards of Lianorn, in my opinion, is worse than this. And you all know I hate ride deck fodder. So now you may be wondering, what the fuck do I mean by this? So let's read her skill first. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. Auto rear, when the attack this unit boosted hits a vanguard, doesn't matter who it boosted, if it hits a vanguard, put a grade 2 less to soul, draw a card. Okay, that's good. You get a grade 2 to soul, you get a draw. Now, to all of you wondering why I say I hate this. Because it literally, first grade 3 turn, my whole back row is filled. Second grade 3 turn, I have ways to refill that exact same back row in case it gets nuked or prisoned or somewhere along those lines. So now you're questioning, why do I hate this thing again? Because I don't need it. Every other one of my back row units has a boost ability. So it would basically be me calling over a rear guard to lose more power just to get an on hit, when I already have consistent soul basis. Like, this is not needed in my deck at all. Like, if I were to change out someone for the PG, it would be this, because she literally has done nothing all of my games that I've had her in. I have always ran her out of 4 and she has done absolutely nothing. I've also totaled 5 games out of 50 with this deck, and she was present in my hand for 3 of them, and I never needed to use her because my back row was filled. There's literally no reason for me to use her. Like, I run her just in case, because one day I might need that soul. Who knows? But I literally haven't needed it so far. Like, I'm not saying she's bad. She's good. She really is good. But just in case there's anyone out there who thinks like this thing makes the deck, it fucking doesn't. It doesn't do shit. I don't need it to make my deck. Why the fuck are you guys saying you need it to make your deck? It doesn't make sense. So like, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's bad. Run it. It's good. I'm just saying that if there's something I was gonna cut in this deck, it's this. This is the first thing on the chopping block. 4 of Bayara, maybe I'm the only one who thinks this, but genuinely, if you all saw the testing I was doing, you would greatly agree that this is a way less important than anything else I could cut it with. So, 4 of Bayara. Then we have 4 copies of part of the reason why Byra never gets on the board, Cooperation Made in Lilani. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, auto rear. When this unit boosts, if you have 6 units, she gets +5 for the battle. Okay, so while it basically requires a full field to get +5, that is the first thing I can do. First grade 3 turn, I'm getting a full field, and somehow, even without PGs, I'm still not losing, and I'm staying with that full field. Like, quite literally, this is a 13k plus booster, and when you combine it with Lianorn and then your other columns, you're consistently hitting for somewhere in the 30s if you play it like I do, and everything attack is basically a 15k drop unless you're Lianorn. In that case, it's a PG or you take it. So, for Leilani, she's just really good. Typically, my back row consists of the ride line grade 1 in the dead center, and then the other 2 columns being Leilani columns. So, yeah, that's why Byra never gets to hit the field. And if you're wondering about the games where I do fight against decks that nuke rear guards, yeah, like I said before, typically have a second set of these just in case I need them, and then she just kind of stays in hand. Like I said, she most useless grade 1 in this deck. The way I use it, she's the most useless grade 1. So, 4 of Leilani, she's just a good booster. Then we move on to our last grade 1, which is the rivaling grade 1 of Budding Maiden of Pleasant Sounds, Gracia. I was kind of tempted to put her at a 4 of when I was making this deck and then just not run her at all, but like, you know, just in case. So anyways, Rekani is a grade 1 with boost, 5k shield, 8k base. Auto when she's brought about by Brilliant Tomb Rectina, you may call her to rear guard. Cool, it doesn't have to be back center, but you're going to call her back center. Because continues rear guard during the battle that she boosted a vanguard, she gets +5. I ran out of 4 before I realized she has to boost the vanguard, so I automatically dropped that and then just put it into a 1 of as the ride deck card. So it's a 13k booster on Van that's really nice for the extra boost and extra swings on the opponent's vanguard during the early game before you hit to Lianorn, and then when you do hit Lianorn, you're boosting your entire back row with at least 13k every turn, and you're probably swinging for, what was the number again? 3952 without having to trigger sack or give any other buffs outside of the grade 1 zone buffs. Yeah, now you can see why I don't use her at all, because I literally don't need to. My soul is perfectly fine. The power is far more important when I'm already having consistent soul, so one of the ride deck of Gracia. Then we have 2 copies of our first grade 2, Looting Petal Stomalia. Okay, so you all may be wondering, what the fuck am I doing running a trial deck card for Magnolia? It's really good. In fact, actually, unless I have the order in hand, this is probably one of the better grade 2s, because there's only a total of 5 cards in this deck that have Counterblast, and this is one of them. So in an entire game, without heals, you can just use all your Counterblasters and you literally don't have to worry, because there's only 5 of them. So Stomalia is act rear guard once per turn, Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, until end of turn she gets boosted 5k. Cool. So it works with Lianorn, who can get boosted by her, so she can hit plus 15, plus the other 2 13 boosters, which is a total of 26 plus 15, 41. She's hitting for 54. It's just a good number. And then it's just even if like you're not doing it for her ability, you can still use her to boost another unit in the same column as her, meaning you can be a little bit more aggressive with your numbers. Even if it's only by slightly, it's still slightly enough to, push for an extra 5k maybe, and all around she's just really good. And you always have the counter blast to spare. The only problem is the soul blast, but the fun thing about her is her ability helps, and is the reason why I can actually have consistent soul blast. Why, you may ask? We'll get to that in a minute. But either way, 2 of Stomalia, I see her good enough when she's at 2 copies, and she's all around useful grade 2. Then we have 3 copies of Spurring Maiden Elena, the only other card in this deck that has Counterblast cost. So, feel free to use these whenever you see them, because you're going to be able to. So, when she's placed on rear guard from hand, Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, choose a grade 2 or less from your drop zone, call it to rear guard, and it gets plus 5 for the turn. Cool. So, you use this to call the thing that allows you to get consistent soul charging. No, not this one, because as I made it pretty clear, not needed in this deck, and I would willingly drop this for a PG if I wasn't that cautious of it. But you use this to get the other soul fetcher, which we're about to see in a second, and she's just all around really good. Like, Elena has definitely been able to keep me at a consistent soul every turn, and I love it. It's fun. Every time I play this deck, it feels like I'm playing Pale Moon because of how I play it, and I love it so much. I think it's really cool doing that, and just all around a fun card to use, and I give it a 3-0 for that reason alone. If you don't remember, by the way, this was my least favorite card from set 1, because as we all know, I hate running cards of what I consider of different archetypes in multiple different decks, and Elena was the most Neo-Nectar card I saw, and I did not run it in Magnolia because of that reason. I feel like anyone who would have seen my Magnolia set 1 deck profile, which I didn't do one, by the way, but if I did, a lot of people would have screamed at me for it. Don't run it for a reason, but now I do. So 3 of Elena. And then move on to our most important grade 2, Blooming Petal Carophilius. Grade 2 intercept 5k shield, 9k base, auto when it's placed on rear if you have no soul card, soul charge 2. Now I don't want to call this guy out, because I feel wrong for calling him out, even though I'm not going to say anything negative about it. But basically I've seen some people say that this is not that good, because it's dependent on you not having soul cards. So this is inherently better, right? Not really, because remember, this has to hit. And while it does have 2 chances to hit when there's just one of them on the board due to Lianorn, that's most likely the one that's going to get blocked out of the attacks. While this one activates on place and gives you 2 at the same time for free. And what you can do with it is get this into drop zone some way, somehow, call Elena, Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, drop your soul to 0 with it, call this, and then soul charge 2 back right up. And then swing with Lianorn to get the Soul Blast. That's what I think it feels like when I'm playing Pale Moon with this, because I constantly kill rear guards, get them right back, loop them through multiple different combo effects, and get a lot of abilities off at once. And that's what I really like about this deck. The thing is, though, this is not technically the main grade 2, because technically it belongs to this, because you need this to show this off. If I don't draw her, I lose the game automatically. Like, I need 2 of her in a game to win. Every game I've drawn 2 of her, I've won immediately. But all the games where I only see 1 of her or less, those are the games I've lost. That's literally been the entire case. Those 5 games I lost were either games I saw her only once, in my hand, by the way, the other ones went to damage zone, or were games that I didn't see her at all. So, yeah, Elena is really important in this deck, but I do run out of 3 of because I do need to see this more. Like, I can combo off this alone, it's just this makes it better. So, 3 of Elena, 4 of Caphorelius. Then we have our grade 2 of the ride line, 3 copies of it in the main deck, 1 copy in the ride line of Brilliant Toon Rekina, grade 2 intercept 5k shield, 10k base. Auto, when it's rode upon by Lianorn in his card name, soul boss 1, choose a grade 1 less from your drop zone, call it to rear guard, and continues to rear guard if you have 3 or more back row units, she gets boost. Okay, worst case scenario, she's like your last booster. Like, this is the least thing you need on your board, but like, you know, in case your opponent started nuking everything and this is out the deck, or maybe you can't afford it anymore, this is where she comes in. She's just a free 10k booster, and that's not the end of the world, and not to mention she can get you a grade 1 from drop, so, you know, adds to the early rush mechanic a little bit. All around, Rukina's really good. Like, to anyone who wants to tell me not to run her because you never want to run, like, ride line cards, my argument to you is literally I never see her, and I doubt that would, considering what I would change to put her in, I doubt I would see those cards either. So any logic that tells me to change her just tells me change her for a PG, because I never see her anyways. Like, and again, this is the first thing I would cut, considering the useless factor. This one is farther down, but whatever. 3 of in the ride deck because, 3 of in the main deck because she can turn into a 10k booster if I need her to, and 1 in the ride deck because she's just a good card for supporting for that extra rearguard rush at the start of the game. Then move on to our grade 3s. 4 copies, 3 in the main deck, 1 in the ride deck of Bandmaster Blossoming Bonds Lianorn. So grade 3, 200 Persona Ride, 13k base. Continues when this card be rode upon. It's also regarded as Grand March of Full Bloom Lianorn. Cool. So it works with the cross ride. Now, we have today, the day I'm recording this Monday, we have learned what gradual devolution does, and based off what I see, I think the evolutions are going to be the second skills are always going to be more or less the same. Actually, gradual second skill is exactly the same, but the first skill will always be ever so something slightly different to replace the Persona Ride thing, and then they just won't have the third skill, I presume. But anyways, her other ability is Auto Van. When it attacks into anything, Soul Boss 1, drop 1, and it boosts its back row with all your standing units with boost. So, this, if by some way you had this on board, even your grade 0s at some point. So yeah, you know, just boost with the back row, and then if you boost it with 3 or more units, it gets +1 drive ton to battle, and at the end of the battle, choose 2 of your back row rear guards and stand them. So I don't know if for sure, like, if it counts the unit that boosted beforehand, like if you boost before you use that skill, or if you have to not boost normally and then use her skill to boost. I don't know. I'm always paranoid about this, so I just like don't boost just in case. That's how the ruling is, but I don't know for sure. Not like it technically matters because, you know, they all boost anyways, so unless they rested it before the attack or before the ability went off, technically it wouldn't matter at all. But anyways, the fact that you can get an extra drive and stand the back row is really nice because that means she has triple drive, which has been, it's been good. It hasn't been the worst triple drive. It hasn't been the best triple drive, but it's been a good triple drive. And she can stand the back 2 columns, meaning that you can get your bigger attacks out of it. So, you know, these 13 at the very least, but possibly 18k boosters are going to be swinging with your other units. Typically, I see a trigger or 2 for my skills, plus other skills that activate, so I'm at least swinging for 20k drops on each attack, so all around is pretty good. Lianorn is swinging for somewhere in the 50s without triggers or Persona Rides, and with Persona Rides, somehow every turn I've seen an extra trigger, meaning the turns I Persona Ride, she's swinging for somewhere in the 70s, but whatever, it's just a good card, and then continues rearguard. During the battle that it was boosted, she gets +5, so worst case scenario, she's an 18k if you have to call it a rear. I mean, I don't need to. Frankly, even the turns I don't Persona Ride, I'm still winning the game relatively easily. So, all around, Lianorn is a good card. I like her a lot. She's a nice grade 3. 3 of in the main deck, 1 of in the ride deck, just because power. Then we have our orders. This is not for the counter charge, because like I said, you have 5 counter blasters. That's exactly enough to use skills. Like I said before, any skill that has a counter blast, if you have soul to use it with, do it, because you don't need to fucking worry about your counter blast in this deck. Tearful Malice, grade 2 normal order, play by retiring 2 rear guards. Yeah, you typically have them when, like, you know, the on places. In fact, this is how you get this in a drop zone. You use this 1 turn, call this, wait the next turn, sack these 2, soul charge 1, counter charge 1, call this, get this back, etc. And then do those stupid loops. And then, so draw a card, put it in soul, counter charge 1. So, place the hand card, shove it to soul to get soul cards, get a counter charge. Cool. It's just a simple order. I like it for that alone. It's just a nice thing. Normally I play it for counter charging. Like I said before, this is not for a counter charge. Frankly, it's not even for the draw. It's just for the soul, just in case. And to be honest with you, it does its job. It's like not the worst thing in the world. Like in the cases where I don't have this or this to proc off with, it's just a good card to get soul with. So 2 of. Then we have 2 copies of Fun Marching. Grade 3 normal order, play it by Soul Blasting 1. All of your grade 1 or less rear guards get plus 5k for the turn. Okay, so if you do this game, if you play this deck like I do, this is your back center. These are on your 2 left and right columns respectively. You're swinging for 18k plus, so 18 plus 18 plus 18. If I remember correctly, that is 54. So 54 plus the 13 without Persona Rides is 67. You plus a Persona Ride off it. Without triggers, your Vanguard swinging for 77. With triggers, if by some miracle you see 3 of them back to back, the Vanguard could be swinging for 107. Hell yeah, and that's just with trial deck cards, not even set 6 with dedicated support. 2 of Fun Marching, it's all around really good. It's one of the best orders, especially because, like, in the worst case scenario where you have to call a bunch of grade 1s to front row, it's not the end of the world. Because guess what? Theodore actually becomes useful when you call it in the early game, because not only does he apply to the early game rush, but just in case you had to call him then, he gets the plus 5, and then you don't have to call him over them with Bayer, because you don't need to. Yeah, to the people that say Theodore is worthless, he actually has been proven his purpose. He has carried more weight than this thing, just saying. So, 2 of Fun Marching is just a good order. I wish it was a set order, though, based off its name, but it's still a good card. And that's it for the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed. All around, to those Stoicheia mains, I am definitely, like, the dedicated evil that gathers you all together to hate, because I do a lot of stupid things. Like I said, to anyone who thinks I'm hating on Bayara, I'm not saying she's a bad card. No, she is a good card. But to those of you who think that she is the most important grade 1 in the deck, my playstyle grandly argues that point, because she has done nothing and hasn't needed to do anything. Like I said, the first thing I'm dropping is probably Bayara to shove into PG, because Theodore has done more work and he doesn't even show up on all my discard rides. Like, genuinely, I'm not even joking. This deck is so fun. You get to play around with so many boosts. The Vanguard hits astronomical numbers. I love the restanding mechanic of the back row, being allowed to, like, boost with them again, making big ass numbers and having so many different ways to play. And not to mention the fact I get a Pale Moon vibe from it whenever I play the way I do, because I'm calling and sacking and calling and sacking. I mean, technically that'd be Grand Blue, but it's more Pale Moon feeling because I'm fucking with the soul. So all around, I love this deck. It's fun. It's definitely one of my favorite Stoicheia decks. I think it's jumped all the way up there past Zorg, I would argue. So yeah, that's it for it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, join the Discord, follow Twitch, and I'll see you all in the next one. Don't forget to stand up, your Vanguards.